Chapter 71. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Konoha hopes to cooperate with the masked man. Uchiha Itachi, who was hiding in the dark, was also paying attention to the changes on the battlefield at any time, from Qianye's advantage in the duel with the first and second generations to the first and second generations performing the same ninjutsu as if they were not affected at all. He has gradually come to a conclusion in his heart: Uchiha Qianye is indeed very strong. But the suddenly resurrected first and second generations are not in their peak state, but they also have many abilities that they did not have at their peak, for example, unimaginable chakra. If this goes on, no matter who is afraid of who, they will be exhausted to death. I don't know how Uchiha Qianye will respond. The battle between the two sides broke out again without warning. Once again, the Wood Dragon against the Wood Dragon. This time, the second generation Hokage Senju Tobirama did not stand idly by, but took advantage of Qianye's duel with the first-generation Hokage's Wood Dragon to launch a surprise attack with multiple shadow clones and the Flying Thunder God technique. He wanted to see if Uchiha Qianye, who was not protected by the Wood Dragon, could still withstand his attack. In response, Qianye's expression was still calm, without any panic. This was partly because he had experienced too many such things in the simulation. Also, in the repeated life and death battles, his combat experience and combat quality had reached a level that ordinary people could hardly imagine. Even without the previous simulations and not knowing how things would develop, he was able to respond calmly and calmly. Wood style, multiple wood clone technique. Qianye used chakra to control the Wood Dragon in the air while guiding and releasing another ninjutsu, wood style, multiple wood clone technique. This ninjutsu is roughly similar to the ninjutsu multiple shadow clone technique created by the second Hokage Senju Tobirama. If there is any difference, it is that Qianye's wood style, multiple shadow clone technique is stronger than the ordinary multiple shadow clone technique. This is true for both the difficulty of identification and the combat ability of a single unit, but these advantages are not obtained for nothing. The most obvious point is the consumption of chakra. Wood style, multiple shadow clone consumes more chakra. If your own chakra is if the pulling capacity is not enough and you still insist on using this ninjutsu, it is very likely to cause damage to the main body. However, Qianye obviously does not need to consider these. Now his chakra capacity has reached a very exaggerated level under the blessing of various abilities. This consumption is nothing to him. A fierce battle began. In the air, Wood Dragon against Wood Dragon. On the ground, multiple shadow clones against multiple shadow clones. More than 10 minutes later, Qianye won again. However, this time there was no joy on the face of the Uchiha clan member, because the Wood Dragon and multiple shadow clones that had just been defeated began to condense again and make a comeback. Give up, it's not too late to stay now. Those who have been reborn from the dead will not be hurt, and the chakra in their bodies is endless. Even Uchiha Qianye has no chance to win. The third generation said slowly, I am willing to give you another chance, as long as you are willing to agree to let me stay now, and the conditions we discussed before will remain the same. I promise that I will never embarrass you. No injuries. Chakra will not be consumed. This time, even the most ordinary Uchiha clan members knew why the first and second generations always seemed so tireless. What to do? Can they still win? These questions soon filled people's hearts. Some people were even a little shaken. Even the strongest people have soft spots in their hearts. They are not afraid of death, but what about their children? Are they just going to die like this? The words of the third generation may not be credible, but what if? Just when everyone was in panic, a loud noise suddenly came from the sky, interrupting everyone's thoughts. Everyone looked in the direction where the sound came from. That was the third time Qianye had repelled the attack of the first and second generations. My fellow tribesmen, Qianye is still fighting for us. How can we give up? Since Qianye is still here, he can definitely take us all out. Are these hypocritical Konoha brats more trustworthy than Qianye? Someone from the Uchiha clan shouted, yes, with Qianye's ability, who can stop him if he wants to leave? The reason why he stayed here is all for us. He didn't give up. So how dare we give up? These words completely shattered the Sandai's intention to shake the Uchiha people. The Uchiha people united again. The Sandai's eyes narrowed slightly. The current situation was obviously not what he wanted to see. However, on the surface, he pretended to be regretful, shook his head and sighed. Alas, what a pity, what a pity. Since they want to die, let them die. Danzo sneered, they can't win. The Uchiha people frowned, but didn't say much, because the current situation is really too unfavorable for them. Everyone's eyes were focused on the battlefield again. Qianye repelled the offensive of the first and second generations for the 5th time, then it was the 6th time, the 7th time. At the beginning, the faces of the 3rd generation, Danzo, and Orochimaru were still relaxed, thinking that they had won. But slowly their faces changed, becoming surprised and incredible. No matter how many times the first and second generations launched an offensive, Qianye could fight back. The first and second generations were able to squander their own chakras so unscrupulously because of their impure world reincarnation bodies. What did Qianye rely on? You know, even the most basic multiple shadow clone technique requires a lot of chakra, not to mention the wood dragon technique. This chakra consumption has reached an extremely exaggerated level. How can Qianye withstand it? No one knows, but Qianye just resisted. To read the exciting novels, go to Faloo Novel Network. Corresponding to this is the change of the Uchiha clan. Their expressions gradually became excited and fanatical. The back of that young man who always stood in front of them was like an undefeated god of war at this moment. The previous concerns completely disappeared. They believed that Qianye could lead them away and lead the Uchiha clan to glory again. We can't go on like this. Danzo narrowed his eyes, his expression grim. In just over an hour, it will be daybreak. The Uchiha clan settlement has undergone such a big change that it is impossible not to attract the attention of others. We must fight quickly and decisively. The 3rd Hokage frowned slightly. What Danzo said was exactly what he was worried about. Before, they had set up a barrier outside the settlement of the Uchiha clan in advance. No matter what happened inside, people outside would not find out, but as the sky gradually brightened, their barrier was still useful, but the risk of being discovered would undoubtedly increase countless times. Will the outside world know that Konoha wants to massacre the Uchiha clan? What will the other clans of Konoha think? If such a thing gets out, it will be a big joke. Will someone take the opportunity to unite and start a war against Konoha? And his reputation as the 3rd generation Hokage has accumulated over decades. These risks are too great, he can't afford it. Orochimaru is more relaxed. After all, what happens to Konoha has little to do with him. The only regret is that he may lose Uchiha Qianye's perfect body. Let's go together. Danzo said in a deep voice, we can't waste time anymore, we must fight quickly. The 3rd generation didn't say anything, although this approach was beneath his dignity. He couldn't care less about the current situation. The two of them took a few steps forward at the same time, and looked at Orochimaru who was motionless beside them, with a questioning look in his eyes. Orochimaru smiled. The 1st and 2nd generations of the impure world reincarnation couldn't take down Uchiha Qianye. Would the 3 of them be able to do it? He was not sure in his heart, especially after the last fight. He was very afraid of Qianye in his heart. He was not willing to take risks. Orochimaru, from the moment you decided to give up, we are all in the same boat. You are Uchiha Qianye, the enemy of the Uchiha clan. Do you know the consequences of letting Uchiha Qianye leave? The smile on Orochimaru's face froze. He looked at Uchiha Qianye who was fighting with the 1st and 2nd generations. He looked at the 1st and 2nd generations of Hokage beside him and nodded. Okay, I'll do it. The 3rd generation nodded, feeling much more at ease. Orochimaru was his disciple. When he was still in Konoha, he was known as the 3 ninjas of Konoha together with Jiraiya and Tsunade. Whether it was strength, potential, or talent, he was extremely high. After defecting from Konoha, so many years have passed, he was not completely sure how much he had grown. But he was able to develop the forbidden technique of impure world reincarnation to such a level, which showed that his strength was so strong that it was probably not less than his 4.7. With the help of Orochimaru, their chances of winning would undoubtedly be much greater. Are you willing to take action? No matter what you ask for, we will consider it. Danzo looked at the masked man who had been watching the battle behind him, the mysterious man who claimed to be Uchiha Madara and was hard for all of them to see through. The masked man stood there, motionless. Although he said nothing, his meaning was very clear. He would not take action, because in his opinion, the strength shown by Uchiha Qianye was too terrifying. It was better to be friends with such a person, rather than to be enemies with him. Coincidentally, Uchiha Qianye's relationship with Konoha seemed very bad, although he did not agree to join his organization in the end, but this did not mean anything. Konoha was Uchiha Qianye's enemy, it was also his enemy. They had a common enemy, there was a possibility of cooperation in the future, and if his great plan could have a powerful helper like Uchiha Qianye, the possibility of success would undoubtedly be much greater, so, he did not intend to take action. As for Orochimaru, although he was a member of his organization, he would not care about other things in the organization except for their respective tasks. Chapter 72. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 1 verses 6. No problem. The specific choice of rejection was not unexpected by the third Hokage, Danzo, and Orochimaru. In fact, they were just asking casually. They all knew that the masked man would not take action, at least not in front of so many people, because apart from the name Uchiha Madara, the masked man never revealed any information to the outside world. Even if they fought, what they got was very limited, there was no way to infer. The third Hokage and Danzo looked at each other and said slowly, "Let's go." But Danzo said, "No hurry." He turned around and looked at the darkness around him and said, "Itachi, I know you are here. How long are you going to hide?" In fact, he had been sending people to follow Itachi secretly and monitor Itachi's every move, but the distance was very far, and the tracking ninja was also carefully selected and good at hiding. Therefore, even Uchiha Itachi had the perverted insight of the Mangekyo Sharingan and did not notice it. Shortly after Itachi arrived, the tracking ninja informed Danzo of the news through special means. This is what happened now. Itachi, who was hiding in the dark, was startled and slightly surprised. He thought he had hidden well and no one would find him. How could Danzo, however, since he had been discovered, he naturally could not hide forever. A flash body technique appeared on the battlefield and stood behind the third generation and Danzo. When the people of the Uchiha clan saw Itachi appear and stand directly behind Danzo, they all started cursing. Long before all this happened, there were rumors in the Uchiha clan that Uchiha Itachi betrayed the Uchiha clan and killed Uchiha Sasuke with his own hands. Some radical clan members even went to the door to question them in person. But most people still didn't believe it. After all, Uchiha Itachi was the son of the clan leader Uchiha Fugaku, and he had always been good friends with Uchiha Sasuke. It was thought that he would not do such a crazy thing, but now it seems that this is not the case. Itachi, you really betrayed the Uchiha clan. You don't deserve the surname Uchiha. You must have killed Sasuke. What else can you say? Itachi Uchiha's betrayal completely ignited the anger of the Uchiha clan. Among them, only one woman looked dazed, with a trace of pain on her face. She was tall, with long straight black hair and a pretty face. Her eyebrows and eyes were somewhat similar to Itachi Uchiha and Sasuke Uchiha. Uchiha Mikoto, the wife of the clan leader Uchiha Fugaku, and the mother of Itachi Uchiha. As a member of the Uchiha clan, she hated those who betrayed the Uchiha clan, but this person was her son. If you ask who among all the people present has the most complicated heart, it must be Mikoto Uchiha. Itachi Uchiha half lowered his head. This genius ninja who has been gifted since childhood and praised by everyone, can't even raise his head now. He and Qianye are both members of the Uchiha clan. Now, a person stands alone in front of the Uchiha clan, trying to block the disaster of genocide for the Uchiha, and he is the knife that killed the Uchiha clan. Facing endless anger and abuse, he was powerless to defend himself. He could only keep muttering, "I didn't kill Sasuke. I didn't kill him. I don't admit it." Besides, there was another person who made him unable to raise his head, his mother, Uchiha Mikoto. Itachi was afraid to see his mother, afraid to see her disappointed eyes. Itachi. The third generation patted Itachi's shoulder gently, with his usual kind and generous eyes. He didn't say anything, but it made Itachi's heart calm down instantly. Uchiha is Konoha's Uchiha. Everything he did was for Konoha, for Konoha. Danzo snorted coldly, "Let's go." The third generation, Orochimaru, and Uchiha Itachi nodded. The four Kage-level strongmen simultaneously performed the instant body flash technique and joined the battle. Are they coming? Qianye raised the corner of his mouth. Facing 6 Kage-level strongmen by himself did not cause any fluctuations in his heart, but only endless fanaticism. Is this enough? How could the two first generation and second generation reincarnated from the impure world reincarnation be enough for him? Qianye threw a punch. The speed was so fast and the power was so great that it even made a sound of breaking through the air, as if it was going to tear the space apart. Bang! The second generation Hokage Senju Tobarama was unable to dodge, and his entire head was instantly bombarded, turning into pieces of confetti and disappearing into ashes. But soon, the head that was about to turn into ashes began to condense and recover again. This is the self-healing ability of the body of the impure world reincarnation. Qianye instantly abandoned the first and second generations who were like indestructible cockroaches. He turned to face the third generation, Danzo. Orochimaru, and Uchiha Itachi who had just joined the battlefield. The first target was Danzo. There was no tactical reason, he just didn't like Danzo would release, great forest technique. From Qianye's arms, vines and branches suddenly appeared and moved towards Danzo wind-style vacuum wave. Danzo immediately used ninjutsu to resist. A powerful wind wave stabbed forward like an invisible dagger. It was so powerful that even the trees that were a little further away were split in two and collapsed. This was one of Danzo's best ninjutsu. Before, he had used similar ninjutsu to deal with the vines and branches of Qianye's wood-style sea of trees. However, this time he miscalculated. The seemingly sharp and invincible wind wave made a bang after hitting the vines and branches transformed by Qianye's arm, and then disappeared. The vines and branches continued to move towards Danzo along their previous route. At this time, if you look closely, you will find that among so many vines and branches, there is a clear white mark on one, that is the vine that collided with Danzo's vacuum wave, enough to cut down trees. The indestructible vacuum wave hit Qianye's vines. And only a white mark was left on the branches and leaves, not to mention destruction. To read exciting novels, go to Faloo Novel Network. It's not even close. Danzo's expression changed. What is happening now is something he never thought of before. Obviously, the vines and branches that Qianye's arms transformed into this time are far from comparable to those before. He was careless. While his mind was in a trance, the vines and branches had already entangled him, and quickly tightened. Bang! With a scream, Danzo's whole body was torn into pieces, blood and bone fragments flew everywhere. It was extremely cruel. The faces of the third generation, Orochimaru, and Itachi were all shocked. They just met, and they haven't even really fought. Qianye killed Danzo once in a flash. So scary. However, with previous experience, they certainly wouldn't think that Danzo was dead. Sure enough, the next moment, Danzo appeared again. You can't kill me. His face was gloomy. He was killed instantly twice in a row. He was undoubtedly extremely angry. Oh. Really? Qianye sneered. He clearly noticed that on Danzo's exposed arm, another Sharingan was closed. This time, Danzo could use his Izanagi to transform damage into dreams once less. Can't kill. Then try to kill a few more times. In an instant, Qianye disappeared from the spot again. When he appeared in everyone's sight, he had appeared not far from Danzo again. His speed was so fast that it was almost beyond the vision of ordinary people. Danzo's face suddenly darkened. Damn, this. Why are so many people always biting me? How big is the hatred and resentment? On the one hand, he hurriedly activated his Izanagi, and on the other hand, he ran as fast as the wind. With this speed, you can't tell that he is an old man in his 60s. It is very different from his usual calm appearance, but it is still too slow. Under the blessing of the Otsutsuki physique, unless it is a Kage-level strongman who specializes in physical skills, others will have no chance of fighting if Qianye gets close to them. What's more, Danzo's real strength is not that strong. In Naruto, when he fought with Sasuke who just got the Mangekyo Sharingan, he was beaten so hard that he had no power to fight back. It was only because of his Izanagi that he could fight for so long. What's more, even if Qianye didn't use all his abilities, his strength would be far greater than Sasuke when he just got the Mangekyo Sharingan, and Danzo's strength was still a little inferior to that when he fought with Sasuke. The increase and decrease made the crushing momentum even more obvious. Boom. Qianye stepped out fiercely. Danzo, who fell to the ground in a panic, was stepped through the chest. The body was torn into pieces, and he died on the spot. The person that the Uchiha clan members hated the most in the past was Danzo. they even thought that it was because of Danzo's existence that the Uchiha clan fell into the current situation, although now they know that behind Danzo's actions, there is actually the shadow of the third generation, but the hatred for Danzo in their hearts has not diminished at all, now seeing Danzo being tortured and killed in public, and being killed again and again, they feel so happy in their hearts. The only regret is that they were unable to take action and take revenge personally. Accompanied by a scream, Danzo was killed instantly again. All the Sharingan on his arms were completely closed. This meant that if he was killed by Qianye again next time, he would be really dead, and he couldn't die anymore. What he said was unkillable. That was just a joke. I thought that with the existence of Izanagi, he had several more lives, and it wouldn't be so easy to die. Who would have thought that Qianye would chase him and kill him alone? Did he really want to see if he could be killed? The third generation, Orochimaru, and Itachi were all breathing heavily. Danzo was killed again and again, and of course they couldn't just sit there and wait to die. They also wanted to take action, but even if they wanted to, they had to have the ability. Qianye's speed was too fast. Danzo was really useless. The killings were almost in the blink of an eye. Before they caught up, Danzo was already dead. What could they do? Chapter 73. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Flying Thunder God. Itachi is accused by his clan members. The only one who could keep up was the second Hokage Senju Tobirama, who had mastered the Flying Thunder God technique. Flying Thunder God, a type of instant teleportation technique, it was originally developed to break the powerful insight of the Uchiha clan's Sharingan. As long as the Flying Thunder God technique is left on the target, it can achieve instant teleportation. Of course, it is extremely difficult to leave the Flying Thunder God technique on Qianye, after fighting for so long. Just now, the second Hokage couldn't do it at all. The reason why he can still keep up now is because his Flying Thunder God technique is left on Danzo. Danzo is his disciple. He left the Flying Thunder God technique on Danzo a long time ago, and once the Flying Thunder God technique is marked, it is almost impossible to erase. So, even after so many years, the Flying Thunder God technique on Danzo still exists and is now useful, but, although it is somewhat useful, it is not completely useful. After all, the second Hokage is the only one who can keep up. It is too difficult to stop him. Bang! Qianye kicked Danzo away. Danzo drew a beautiful arc in the air and landed hard on the ground, creating a deep pit. Danzo was knocked unconscious and saw stars. Before he could come to his senses, he saw a foot fall heavily in the air again. Danzo's expression changed drastically. He subconsciously glanced at his arm. All the Sharingans were closed. Only one was half closed, about to open, but it would take a little time. It would definitely be too late. Is he going to die here? A sense of sadness rose from Danzo's heart. At this moment, several vines and branches flew from a distance and tied Qianye tightly. Would release Great Forest technique. The one who made the move was the first-generation Hokage, Senju Hashirama. Not long ago, Qianye used the same move to tie Danzo to death, and blood was spilled on the spot. And now, Qianye is in the same predicament. The members of the Uchiha clan exclaimed, Qianye is the hope of all of them. Only when Qianye is alive can they live. If Qianye dies, they will surely die. As Qianye fell into danger, their hearts were lifted up in an instant, but not even one person was as panicked as before, because they believed that Qianye would be able to hold on. Danzo breathed a sigh of relief. In any case, this life is saved. The expressions of the third generation, Orochimaru, and Itachi were also much more relaxed. It seems that the matter has been resolved, but it was not easy. He fought against 6 Kage-level strongmen on his own. He once had an absolute upper hand. Such news was really shocking enough to spread. Fortunately, all this is finally coming to an end. Under the control of Hashirama Senju's chakra, the vines and branches gradually tightened. Qianye tried to break free, but he didn't break free. The vines and branches of would release Great Forest technique are no longer comparable to ordinary vines and branches. Both toughness and hardness are qualitatively improved. Even if you use a samurai sword to chop or stab, you may not be able to cut it. The vines and branches continue to tighten, making a creaking sound. A triumphant smile appeared on Danzo's face. No one knew better than him what kind of terrible power those seemingly fragile vines and branches contained. He had been torn apart by such a terrifying force. The despair and pain still impressed him to this day. Now, Seeing Qianye also suffering from almost the same pain, he was really in a good mood. However, his happy mood soon changed. Those vines and branches have been on Qianye's body for some time, but it can't be seen that they have caused any damage. Qianye's expression was also very calm, even with a hint of teasing and contempt. He looked at the several Kage-level strongmen below with indifference, as if to say, "That's it." The third generation, Orochimaru, and Itachi also noticed something unusual. The vines that were so tough that even the samurai sword couldn't cut made more and more intense sounds, but now no one would think that it was the vines and branches that were strangling Uchiha Qianye. Rather, it was a sign that the vines and branches were about to break. The first generation Hokage also showed a trace of surprise on his face. What a strong body, he could actually withstand his great forest technique with his body. Even he and Uchiha Madara couldn't do this back then. It's really too scary. Danzo was the first one who couldn't sit still. The ability Qianye showed just now made him afraid. Now he finally found an opportunity to temporarily trap Qianye. He must take this opportunity to get rid of Qianye. Would release root burial. As the ninjutsu was performed, one of Danzo's arms instantly turned into thick roots like a dragon. It spread towards Qianye, trying to devour him. With just a slight touch, Qianye's entire body would turn into the same tree roots as his right arm. This ninjutsu is very powerful, almost a sure kill move, but the price to pay is also very significant. That is the entire arm of the caster. However, this is nothing to Danzo. He has the Sharingan, which can use his Anaji to blast. The damage is converted into dreams, thus avoiding the damage. During the time when Qianye was temporarily trapped by the first generation, Danzo had already recovered one of his eyes. He then decisively used this ninjutsu. The dragon-like roots devoured Qianye. Originally, with Qianye's abnormal physical skills, it was a joke for these roots to get close to him. To read the exciting novel, go to Faloo Novel Network. But now, because of the control of the first generation of Hokages would release great forest technique, Qianye could not move in a short period of time, nor could he hide. Escape, ah! There was a cry of surprise from the direction of the Uchiha clan members. Then there was a deathly silence. You could hear a pin drop. They saw with their own eyes that Qianye was swallowed up by the roots of the tree, assimilated, and then disappeared. Qianye was gone. Their hope was gone too. After performing would release root burial, Danzo cut off his arm that had completely turned into a tree root. After a moment, the severed arm was restored to its original state. On his arm, the Sharingan that had just opened not long ago also closed again. Danzo frowned slightly. He felt the Sharingan. A stinging feeling came from it. It seems that using the Sharingan twice in such a short time did have some effect on him. But fortunately, he was satisfied with the result. Uchiha Qianye is dead. The Uchiha clan has lost its shelter. Sharingan, there are plenty. The Sandame's face was also much more relaxed. The pressure that Qianye brought to him was too great. Orochimaru felt a little regretful. Such a good body is gone just like that. He looked at Danzo and the Sandame with some dissatisfaction. Uchiha Qianye is no longer here. Our previous conditions. No problem. No matter what you want, we will try our best to satisfy you. The third generation said calmly. In fact, even if Qianye was captured alive by them, he would never hand Qianye over to Orochimaru. Orochimaru's scientific research is really shocking. If Uchiha Qianye's body is handed over to Orochimaru, who knows if Orochimaru will research a second Uchiha Qianye. The current situation just happens to be what he wants. Itachi's expression is a bit complicated. Qianye is gone, and the obstacles are gone, but he is even more at a loss. Uchiha Qianye fought for the Uchiha clan until his death, and he himself. Itachi, it's your turn. Go and complete your mission. Danzo said to Itachi with a cold look on his face. Orochimaru sneered. Seeing the same clan killing each other with his own eyes is really a great pleasure in life. Itachi was stunned and subconsciously looked at the third generation. The third generation did not respond, as if he acquiesced to this matter. Itachi, what are you waiting for? Have you forgotten our agreement? Danzo urged. Itachi raised his head and gave Danzo a cold look. You'd better remember what you promised, otherwise I will kill you. His eyes suddenly turned blood red. His Mangekyo Sharingan opened, with a charming, creepy light and awe-inspiring murderous aura. At this moment, no one would doubt what Uchiha Itachi said. He really has the ability. Danzo narrowed his eyes slightly and slowly uttered a word, okay. Itachi didn't say anything more, and let out a long breath, then he appeared in front of the Uchiha clan with a flash. His expression was cold and emotionless. It was as if the people in front of him were not his clan members with the same roots, but strangers who had nothing to do with him. Uchiha Itachi, you dare. Xian Wanghao, traitor. Traitor. Are you doing this to your clan leader? The Uchiha clan members cursed and questioned. Itachi remained calm and raised his samurai sword. Itachi. A gentle and delicate female voice came from the crowd. Itachi's brows suddenly frowned, with a painful look in his eyes. He recognized that this was his mother, Uchiha Mikoto. However, he did not respond, nor did he raise his head, looking at this son who was obviously very familiar, but very strange. Uchiha Mikoto was heartbroken, and tears like pearls rolled down her white jade cheeks. Your father. Itachi opened his mouth, hesitant to speak, and finally uttered two words in a nearly hoarse voice, dead. Uchiha Mikoto was stunned, her face turned pale in an instant, and she couldn't say a word. The Uchiha clan also knew about you. Why did the Uchiha clan have such a turmoil? But Fugaku was nowhere to be seen. It turned out that he had already. Itachi, you killed the clan leader, right? You even killed your own father. All kinds of unbearable curses filled Itachi's ears, making his head split. He simply made up his mind and raised the samurai sword in his hand. Uchiha Itachi, take action. Chapter 74. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeking peace. The third generation admitted defeat. Itachi. This traitor. We'll fight him. Yes, let's try our best. We can't let down our Uchiha family in any case. At the critical moment concerning the life and death of the clan, the men of the Uchiha clan stood up and stood in the front. They looked at the traitor of the Uchiha clan angrily and were ready for battle. They had already seen from Uchiha Itachi's previous attack that Uchiha Itachi's strength had reached a very scary situation. Even their clan leader Uchiha Fugaku was very likely to die at the hands of Itachi. Therefore, when facing Uchiha Itachi, they couldn't help but feel a little nervous. But no one retreated even a step out of fear, because behind them are their parents, wives, and children. They can't retreat. No matter what. Uchiha Itachi rushed over with a samurai sword in his hand. All the men of the Uchiha clan rushed forward. The enemy is so powerful, of course they wouldn't be stupid enough to say anything. What kind of morality? Uchiha Itachi rushed in. He was agile and quick in attack. Although the Uchiha clan had a large number of people, their individual combat capabilities were not weak, but their opponent was Uchiha Itachi. In just one encounter, several Uchiha clan members were injured and lost their combat capabilities. The remaining Uchiha clan members could not help but be horrified. But they did not step back and surrounded them again. In the process, Uchiha clan members were constantly injured, and immediately rushed up without hesitation, fearless of death. Slowly, Itachi seemed to be a little tired. His movements were no longer as swift and powerful as before. At this time, the advantage of numbers was revealed. Itachi inevitably fell into a disadvantage. Finally, surrounded by everyone, Itachi failed to dodge and was hit hard. However, the scene of blood flowing did not appear. Uchiha Itachi turned into a group of crows and disappeared. 740. What is going on? The Uchiha people were puzzled. They had fought hard for most of the day, with so many injured, and it seemed like the battle was about to end, but how could it suddenly disappear? Ah! A cry of surprise was heard. One of the Uchiha clan members was standing there motionless, with a terrified look in his eyes, as if he had seen something very scary. Everyone looked in that direction. They saw a young figure standing not far away, looking at them indifferently. Uchiha Itachi, what happened? I can't move. Before they could start cursing, they found something was wrong with themselves. At the same time, the surrounding situation also changed significantly. All the traces of the fight and the injuries were gone. It was as if nothing had happened. Only their bodies, which were out of control, were telling them strongly that they had been hit without knowing it. It's an illusion. Soon someone realized what it was. Illusion. Everyone knew that Uchiha Itachi was best at illusion. However, they didn't expect Itachi to be so strong. Just one person, he actually cast an illusion on all of them. It was so terrifying. Itachi approached step by step with a cold expression and a samurai sword in his hand. He wanted to exterminate the Uchiha clan with his own hands. Itachi. A crying voice came from the crowd. It was Uchiha Mikoto, Itachi's mother. Even without looking up, he could clearly recognize her. Blame it on you for making the wrong choice. Since you made the wrong choice, you must pay the price. CGFJ, Itachi said this slowly, then raised the samurai sword in his hand and dropped it heavily. At this moment, several vines and branches suddenly appeared on the ground and entangled with Itachi's body. Itachi noticed it at the first time, frowned immediately, and it was too late to get away. With a swaying sound, the samurai sword in his hand fell to the ground. Itachi was tied up tightly like a dumpling. Everyone knows this ninjutsu would release great forest technique. Qianye used this ninjutsu to kill Danzo once. Now, in the most critical moment, at the critical moment, he appeared again. Does this mean that Uchiha Qianye is not dead? The Uchiha clansmen looked around with hope. The third generation, Danzo, and Orochimaru frowned. What's going on? Is there another change? Under the dark night sky, a figure slowly appeared in the air. He fought above the mighty and invincible wooden dragon, and looked at everything happening below indifferently. One thing worth noting is his eyes. It emits a blood-red light. Inside the pupil, 3 Magatama are connected to each other, in the shape of a blade. Mangekyo Sharingan. Uchiha, Itachi. Danzo said the name word by word in a deep voice. The third Hokage and Orochimaru looked grim. To read the exciting novels, go to Faloo Novel Network. Not only because Qianye, who should have died, came back to life, but also because of those eyes. Mangekyo Sharingan. Would escape, super strong physical skills, plus Mangekyo Sharingan. This can almost be said to be an invincible configuration. Can they still take it? Even if they can, it's not long before dawn. Can they still take it in such a short time? Although everyone is reluctant to admit it, they all have the same answer in their hearts. At the moment of seeing the Mangekyo Sharingan, the masked man's single eye also emitted a more creepy red light, and it was obviously shaken, but after a moment, he returned to his previous calmness and indifference, and finally slowly uttered 2 words, interesting. Would release plus flower Sharingan. It is indeed very powerful, but he still has an absolute trump card in his hand. He firmly believes that this trump card can defeat everything. After all, it is something that only exists in legends. Qianye. Qianye is back. It's Qianye. I told you that you wouldn't die like this. The Uchiha clan cheered loudly to welcome their hero. Qianye slowly descended on the wooden dragon and stood in front of the Uchiha clan again. He looked at Uchiha Itachi indifferently and said calmly, "You deserve to die." As a member of the Uchiha clan, he was brainwashed by the so-called Will of Fire of Konoha, sold out information, betrayed the Uchiha clan, and even wielded the butcher knife against his own clan members. From the perspective of the Uchiha clan, this matter is unforgivable in any way, must be killed. Kill him. Kill this traitor. The members of the Uchiha clan also said in unison. They hated this traitor who betrayed their own people from the bottom of their hearts. Uchiha Itachi was tied up tightly and couldn't move. As long as Qianye had a slight thought and controlled the chakra, Itachi's blood would splatter 3 feet, but Itachi didn't have any fear, but instead felt a little relieved. In this life, he has carried too much. Maybe dying like this is also a kind of relief for him. But I'm afraid he will fail his father's instructions. Itachi slowly closed his eyes, as if he had accepted his fate. Under the control of Qianye's chakra, the vines and branches tightened and bound little by little. There was a creaking sound, accompanied by the sound of some bones breaking. Not everyone has such a perverted body like Qianye's Otsutsuki physique, which can withstand such a powerful force. Danzo was powerless to fight back after being tied up. Of course, Itachi was the same. Not long after, a look of pain appeared on his face. No. Don't. Uchiha Mikoto cried and ran out. As a mother, she really couldn't watch her son die in front of her and remain indifferent. Qianye, let Itachi go, let him go. Itachi. Itachi is not bad, he is not a bad boy. Uchiha Mikoto, wife of clan leader Uchiha Fugaku. She is about 30 years old, and perhaps because she takes good care of herself. Her skin is fair and delicate, without any trace of time, at first glance, she doesn't look like she is in her 30s at all, more like a girl in her early 20s, but with a charming figure that a girl in her early 20s doesn't have. She is fat where she should be fat, and there is no trace of excess fat where she should be thin, which is full of temptation to tempt people to commit crimes, especially now. Mikoto is crying with tears in her eyes, looking so pitiful that people can't help but want to pity her. It has to be said that Fugaku is somewhat cowardly in dealing with the affairs of Konoha, but his wife is still good. Even Qianye, who is always cold to everyone, doesn't look at Uchiha Mikoto. Feeling pity. However, this does not mean that Qianye will let Itachi go just because of Uchiha Mikoto's words. This is impossible. Itachi's sin against the Uchiha clan is too great. How can it be forgiven by a simple sentence? Looking back, Qianye turned his head again and continued to use chakra to control the vines and paper strips. Wait a minute. Qianye, let's talk about a deal, how about that? The voice of the third generation came from a distance. Then, the third generation, Danzo, and Orochimaru all performed the instant body technique and came to Qianye. Conditions? Qianye chuckled. Has it finally come to this? As time passed, the sky gradually brightened, but the third generation still couldn't do anything to him. Seeking peace and negotiating conditions was the only way. Leave Itachi alive. The third generation looked at Qianye and said, Itachi was powerful and loyal to Konoha. He had already made arrangements. After tonight, he would let Itachi join the masked man's organization as a pawn of Konoha, gather intelligence, and continue to protect Konoha in the dark. The responsibility was heavy. If he died like this, it would undoubtedly be a great loss for Konoha. He couldn't bear to see such a situation happen. Qianye's eyes narrowed slightly. He looked at Itachi, then at the third generation. He knew clearly what would happen later, and he guessed what the third generation was thinking in an instant, but he still chose to temporarily put down Itachi, who had fainted from the pain and lost his ability to resist. Chapter 75. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qianye opens his mouth wide. No matter which side it is, Uchiha Itachi is a very special existence. He is Konoha's hidden chess piece in the Akatsuki organization. He is a sharp knife in the hands of the masked man. Naturally, he can also be used by Qianye. If this chess piece is left now, it may be of great use in the future. If you want me to stop, you will have to pay a price. Qianye said bluntly. Previously, Konoha gathered its forces and attacked the Uchiha clan unexpectedly, wanting to exterminate the Uchiha clan, but now, because of his appearance, Konoha simply cannot complete the task before dawn. Continuing to entangle will only expose the matter. This will not only make Konoha a laughing stock in the entire ninja world, but also remind everyone how weak Konoha is now. Konoha, the world's #1 ninja village, it can't even deal with an Uchiha, which is too unworthy of its name. It will definitely attract the covetousness of countless people. This is tantamount to a catastrophe for the now weak Konoha. The third generation looked a little ugly. The current situation has been completely reversed. They no longer have the initiative. Uchiha Qianye, don't think you have everything under control. At worst, we'll both die together. Do you really think you can challenge the entire Konoha by yourself? Danzo said coldly. Do you want to try? Qianye looked at Danzo. There was a hint of indifference in his slightly playful eyes. Under such eyes, Danzo couldn't help but shudder. The scene of being chased and killed by Qianye again and again replayed in his mind again, making him scared from the bottom of his heart. He wanted to say a few words to show off his strength, but when he came to his mouth, he couldn't say anything. Ahem. The third generation coughed lightly to break the awkwardness, and then slowly said, I can let you go. In exchange, you must hide your identity and not claim to be from the Uchiha clan. The Uchiha clan is gone from today. Everything will go according to our previous plan, and Uchiha Itachi will bear all the responsibilities. Behind Qianye, the faces of the Uchiha clan members showed obvious anger. Uchiha is extremely glorious and is their pride. Let them abandon this surname. They don't want to. But even so, no one spoke up. Everyone looked at Qianye. Although it was only one night, Qianye gained the hearts of the people. The Uchiha clan members believed that this young man could make a choice that was in the interests of the Uchiha clan and was the most correct choice. Qianye was a little disdainful. He looked straight at the third generation and said word by word, impossible. Now it is no longer Konoha but them who take the initiative. The third generation is still thinking about using power to suppress others. Is it now a question of how to let them go? It's not the case anymore. The key now is how to completely cover up the ugly plan of the Uchiha clan extermination night. The third generation frowned slightly, and a trace of anger appeared on his face, but it was quickly hidden. As the Hokage of the world's first ninja village, no one has said the word no to him for so many years. It's just that the current situation. It seems that he can't do anything else, so what do you want? After a while, the third generation asked, don't publicize this matter. But Uchiha will not hide their identities. Uchiha will always be Uchiha. Qianye said indifferently, keeping the ugly plan of Uchiha's extermination night secret is the basis for the two sides to talk. If this point fails, there is no need for the two sides to talk anymore, but for the rest, the third generation cannot make conditions. Good. Well said. Qianye. It is impossible for us to abandon the Uchiha family name. Qianye's words resonated with the Uchiha clan members, and they all echoed. The third generation narrowed his eyes and said, letting you leave is already the biggest concession we can make. Only by hiding your identity can you avoid the prying eyes of foreign forces, stay safe, and keep secrets better. Not revealing tonight's plan is not only good for us, but also for you. A broken Uchiha clan without protection will surely attract the covetousness of many people. Sharingan is the symbol and pride of the Uchiha clan. There are countless people in this world who want to obtain Sharingan and study its secrets. Before, they were safe under the protection of Konoha. Now that the Uchiha clan has experienced such a thing, they are seriously injured and have no protection. Someone will definitely take advantage of the opportunity to attack. What the third generation said is not completely unreasonable. The people of the Uchiha clan couldn't help but hesitate when they heard the third generation's words. Previously, why did the envoy of Union village kidnap Hinata of the Hyuga clan? Wasn't it because he had his eyes on the Hyuga clan's bloodline limit, the Byakugan? The Uchiha clan's Sharingan is as famous as the Byakugan, and even more famous. Of course, it will also bring them trouble. Can they still resist it now? Maybe listening to the third generation and hiding their identities is also a good choice, although they are unwilling to abandon the Uchiha family name. But no matter what the circumstances, the most important thing is to survive. To read exciting novels, go to Faloo Novel Network. If you can't survive, what's the point of everything? However, Qianye said, the affairs of the Uchiha clan don't bother you, Konoha. Before Konoha was founded, our Uchiha clan was one of the most powerful families in the world. We can protect ourselves. Anyone who wants to harm our Uchiha clan, no matter who it is, will only have one end, death. Qianye's words are reminding everyone, although the Uchiha clan is now seriously injured, it is far from the point where they need others to protect them, or need to hide their identities and survive. Since the ancestors of the Uchiha clan were able to make the Uchiha clan one of the most powerful families at that time, they can also protect themselves now. If you don't hide your identities, we will have to start all over again with our previous plans. How can we have a good reason to convince the outside world that nothing happened to the Uchiha clan and that they left Konoha voluntarily? Danzo sneered. Besides, who can guarantee that you can protect yourselves and keep the secrets? You can only choose to believe it. As for the reason, it is your business and has nothing to do with me. Or, we can continue to fight. Qianye refused to give in. The third Hokage and Danzo looked at each other. Their faces were not very good. Orochimaru looked indifferent. What happened to Konoha and whether the plan would be exposed had nothing to do with him. He didn't care at all. It's a pity. Qianye's strength is too strong. He may never get such a perfect body in his life. The third Hokage squinted his eyes, his expression uncertain, and carefully calculated and analyzed the pros and cons in his heart. Letting the Uchiha clan leave is no longer a last resort. He can only choose this way. Keeping the secret is the top priority now, and it must be done no matter what. Otherwise, even he doesn't know how terrible things will happen. As for what Qianye said, although it is a bit difficult, it is not completely impossible. He pondered for a while, looked up at Qianye. Okay, I promise. No hurry. Before he could finish his words, he was interrupted by Qianye again. As for the conditions, we need to talk slowly. Qianye said calmly, now, in order to keep the secret, we have to go far away. If we want to survive, we need money. Money. No matter when, it is a good thing for anyone, to take the people of the clan to settle down somewhere else. Financial support is always needed. The third generation looked at Qianye and exhaled a long breath. Okay, I promise you, 100,000 taels per person. He agreed very straightforwardly without any hesitation. It's not that he didn't care about the money, he just didn't want to talk to Qianye anymore. 100,000 taels. In the world of Naruto, a bounty of 100,000 taels can only be obtained by performing at least a B-rank mission. 100,000 taels per person is not a lot, but it is not a small amount either. However, Qianye obviously did not intend to let it go. He continued, this time, Konoha attempted to destroy Uchiha. Although it failed, it also dealt us a heavy blow. I don't know how many Uchiha clan members died at the hands of your Konoha. Those people are our dearest friends. More money. If you want to really live in a place, there are too many places where you need money. If you can ask for more, of course you should ask for more. Anyway, Konoha was the #1 ninja village at the time, with a large family and a lot of money, so they can still come up with this little money. The face of the third generation suddenly darkened. Danzo was even more angry. If the third generation hadn't stopped him, he would have exploded directly. Orochimaru had returned to the masked man, and the two of them watched the joke together. What was happening now had nothing to do with them, it's just that they obviously didn't get the reward that was agreed upon before. Why don't you ask for some hush money? In the end, after a moment of silence, the third generation was forced to agree to the conditions proposed by Qianye, and pay more money. And Qianye also got the price he wanted. The people of the Uchiha clan looked at the painful expression of the third generation, and they felt very happy. The money has been settled, you can leave now. Danzo urged with a grim look on his face. Before, the Uchiha clansmen wanted to leave, but he was the one who didn't let them go. Now he is the one who is urging them to leave. It makes people sigh that things are impermanent. However, Qianye still stood there, motionless. What else do you want? Danzo asked with his eyes wide open. If Qianye was not so much stronger than him, he would have been unable to resist and would have taken action. It would have been like now, no matter how aggrieved he was, he would have to endure it. I want Konoha's forbidden technique. The forbidden technique left by the second generation Hokage, Senju Tobirama. Qianye said lightly, the second generation Hokage, Senju Tobirama, in terms of strength, he may not be the top one, but there is no doubt that he is a genius, an unparalleled super genius. Chapter 76. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The frustrated Danzo. The genius of the second generation Hokage, Senju Tobirama, is reflected in the creation of ninjutsu. First, the Flying Thunder God technique made the fourth generation Hokage Minato Namikaze famous as the Yellow Flash. Then there is the multiple shadow clone technique, which shines in the hands of the future 7th generation Hokage Naruto Uzumaki. There is also the most terrifying impure world reincarnation technique. It has become the top priority of the 4th Ninja World War. There is no doubt that without the impure world reincarnation, the 4th Ninja World War would have had a profound impact in terms of scale, influence, and direction. It can be said that without the impure world reincarnation, the outcome of the 4th Ninja World War would be completely different. Not to mention, there are still many forbidden techniques in Konoha that have not been banned and have not yet shined. Qianye wanted to get it when he just came to this world. However, since it is a forbidden technique, especially for ordinary people, not to mention, he is still a member of the Uchiha clan. Judging from Konoha's defense against the Uchiha, it is even more impossible to practice forbidden techniques. But now, Qianye finally had a chance to obtain the forbidden techniques left by the second Hokage Senju Tobirama from Konoha openly. Forbidden techniques. Or all forbidden techniques. The faces of the third Hokage and Danzo changed, especially Danzo. He was so angry that he took 2 steps forward. Impossible, this 870 is absolutely impossible. The second generation's forbidden techniques are the secrets of our Konoha. How could we possibly give them to an outsider? Don't dream, this is impossible. The reason why forbidden techniques are listed as forbidden techniques is because the requirements for practitioners are extremely high and extremely difficult to practice. This difficulty is not only reflected in the requirements for talent, but there are even dangers during practice, and it may endanger life if you are not careful. However, the power of these extremely difficult ninjutsu is mostly very huge. Once mastered, the blessing to combat power is far beyond the ordinary ninjutsu. Uchiha Qianye, this ninja, whose qualifications were only considered above average before, suddenly rose directly and his strength skyrocketed, possessing the Mangekyo Sharingan. Would release, and super physical skills. If he also masters Konoha's forbidden techniques, how will his strength reach a level? Such a terrifying degree. Especially considering that they are now enemies rather than friends with the Uchiha clan, although they are now reaching a reconciliation step by step, but no one can say for sure whether the Uchiha clan, which has fully recovered its strength in the future, will come back and seek revenge. After all, there is a blood feud between them, not to mention the friction and contradictions between Konoha and the Uchiha clan before. Just tonight, although Qianye acted in time and saved the lives of many Uchiha clan members, many people still died. Will the Uchiha clan remember all this? Will they not want to seek revenge? Giving Uchiha Qianye forbidden techniques now is to raise a tiger to cause trouble, which they absolutely cannot accept. Both the third generation and Danzo understand these. What do you mean? Sandame. Qianye simply ignored Danzo's words. What could Danzo do? Was he qualified to talk to Danzo? The one who finally nodded was Sandame. Sandame looked at Qianye, groaning in silence. It was completely impossible to ask him to hand over the forbidden technique. He would rather fight and try to keep all the people of the Uchiha clan, and even willing to expose the ugly plan of the Uchiha clan extermination night, but he was not willing to hand over the forbidden technique. Everything Qianye showed made him feel scared. It even reminded him of the existence of the legendary Uchiha. This must not happen. Is there no room for maneuver? The third generation asked, with a hint of threat in his voice. This symbolized his current attitude. It was also his final ultimatum. He wanted to tell Qianye that if he had to ban the technique, he would rather give up the peace talks, give up everything, and fight to the death. However, Qianye didn't care at all, and didn't back down at all. No. His attitude was equally tough. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Qianye's toughness comes from his strength. Now his strength has only revealed the tip of the iceberg. It is enough to compete with so many Kage-level strongmen present, not to mention, he still has so many hidden abilities that he has not used. He has absolute confidence that no matter what happens, he can control the situation stably. The third generation narrowed his eyes slightly. Qianye's toughness was somewhat beyond his expectations. It also made him have a great change in the current situation. So confident, is there any backup plan? Danzo also had a gloomy face. This famous conspirator in Konoha has always been known for his cunning and suspicion. After experiencing so many things, he felt more and more how powerful Qianye was. He was almost certain that Qianye must have a backup plan, otherwise he would not be so confident. Ha. The third generation laughed tactically, breaking the tense atmosphere during the talks. Qianye, it would be bad for both you and me to start a war now. We should try to negotiate instead of fighting to the death. What do you think? Qianye looked at the third generation calmly and said nothing. He knew that the third generation was not that tough. It was just a simple diplomatic trick. Otherwise, how could Danzo become so powerful under the third generation? The root organization directly under him only knew Danzo and ignored the Hokage. Qianye, how about you and I each take a step back? You can take away the forbidden techniques, but not all of them. Sandai thought for a moment and asked, how about two? He originally wanted to say one, but he really didn't want to waste his breath with Qianye anymore. Now he just wanted to get this matter resolved as soon as possible. Okay. Qianye agreed immediately, but I have to go in and choose in person. To read the exciting novels, go to Faloo Novel Network. Okay. The third generation nodded, with a barely perceptible smile of success on his lips. He knew that Uchiha Qianye would go in and choose in person for the sake of security. This was exactly his plan. Where Konoha's forbidden techniques were hidden, there were countless forbidden techniques piled up. There was no classification or management at all. Not all of them were useful. There were also some that were not worthy of being in the public eye. There were even some ordinary ninjutsu mixed in. Want to find what you want from it? Not to say that it is completely impossible, but the possibility is very low, this is why the third generation agreed in the end. He bet that Qianye would not find the ninjutsu he wanted. The conditions for the peace talks were reached. Qianye first organized the Uchiha clan to leave Konoha first and wait outside the village. He followed the third generation and Danzo to get the forbidden techniques. He was not worried at all that the third generation and Danzo would take the opportunity to attack the Uchiha clan, because, as long as he was there, the third generation and Danzo would have reservations. If the third generation and Danzo dared to touch the Uchiha clan, Qianye would dare to launch an abnormal massacre inside Konoha. Besides, Konoha's attack on the Uchiha clan in broad daylight was bound to cause leaks. This was something the third Hokage and Danzo did not want to see. Finally, in fact, when Qianye left, he had left behind a wooden clone. The strength of the wooden clone was not as good as the original body, but it was much stronger than an ordinary clone. If there was any unexpected situation, the Uchiha clan would not be without any ability to fight back. The third Hokage and Danzo took Qianye to the place where the forbidden techniques were hidden. The third Hokage opened the door first, then looked at Qianye and said, "You only have a quarter of an hour. And you must come out whether you have chosen the forbidden technique you want or not." Qianye nodded nonchalantly, and then strode in. Danzo and the third Hokage looked at Qianye's back with sneers on their faces. "A quarter of an hour, in other words, 15 minutes, you want to find the forbidden technique you want from this place where there are so many ninjutsu. Uchiha Qianye, it's really amazing, but, he is a little too young." Qianye walked into the place where the forbidden techniques were hidden. This place is different from what the original Hokage showed. It should be that all the ninjutsu are piled together, some have names written on them, and some don't. They are all mixed together. There are 3 floors like this. Hi, it is impossible to find the forbidden technique here. This is why the third generation and Danzo sneered. However, Qianye looked calm, with a slight smile on his face, and he did not feel embarrassed at all. With a flash of his body, he appeared in a pile of books, and took out a scroll with a light wave. Then, in almost the same way, he appeared on the second floor and took out another scroll. Then he walked out of the room directly. It took no more than a minute. The third generation and Danzo felt that he had just walked in and out. "Have you chosen?" The third generation said in surprise. He originally thought that Qianye would at least use up all his time before coming out. How could he come out so quickly? Danzo also looked unusual. Could it be that after entering, he found so many ninjutsu that he couldn't find them at all, so he simply gave up? He didn't even look for them, and just took 2 and came out? It's possible. It's very possible. Danzo was more and more certain in his heart. Because here, even the people in charge of managing ninjutsu need to spend a lot of time to find ninjutsu. Uchiha Qianye was only here for the first time. How could he find it? He must have taken them randomly. How could he know? In the simulation system of the Uchiha clan extermination night, Qianye has no idea how many times he has come in this system, and every time he comes in, he will use the would release multiple shadow clone technique to create hundreds of Uchiha Qianye to search. In the beginning, he also encountered many difficulties, but slowly he got familiar with it. Now, what scrolls are there and where they are? I am afraid no one in this world is more familiar with it than him. That is why he was able to find the scroll he wanted in less than a minute after he entered. The calculations of the third generation and Danzo are clanging loudly, and if it were an ordinary person, he would have to bear it, but he is helpless. Qianye has a cheat. What is the use of the profound and unpredictable strategy? Isn't there only one way to be cracked? Chapter 77. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Obtaining Flying Thunder God. Restoring the glory of the Uchiha clan. Qianye casually handed the scroll to the Sandai. Many of the scrolls here are sealed. Unless you know the sealing method, you can't open it at all, and you can't see the forbidden technique sealed inside. This can also be regarded as the last guarantee for the forbidden techniques. The Sandai took the scroll, made a few gestures to remove the seal, and then removed the seal. Then he was about to give it back to Qianye, but he was stopped by Danzo. Wait, third generation. Aren't you curious about what ninjutsu Uchiha Qianye got? Danzo said with a cold smile. In the fight just now, Qianye targeted him one after another. If it weren't for the existence of Sharingan and Izanagi, he would have died countless times. Now, he is sure that Qianye just grabbed 2 scrolls and walked out. How could he let it go? Of course, he must make good use of it and vent his anger. The third generation glanced at Danzo. The two have known each other for decades. At the beginning, they were disciples of the second generation Hokage Senju Tobirama and members of the same team. Later, when they became Hokage, they were one bright and one dark, supporting each other. They already had a tacit understanding. In just a few words, he knew what Danzo meant. It just so happened that he was also angry in his heart. That's fine. The third generation nodded, then looked at Qianye. Uchiha Qianye, you should have no objection. Qianye said nothing and made a casual gesture. He had seen this scene several times in the simulation. It was absolutely wonderful. Every time, he could make a serious person like him laugh. Okay. The third generation nodded with a smile and slowly opened the scroll. Danzo also leaned forward with anticipation. He couldn't wait to see Qianye's angry face. Just thinking about it made him feel good, and even the unhappiness of the previous night was relieved a lot. However, soon as the scroll slowly unfolded, the third generation and Danzo couldn't laugh anymore, because they saw 3 words written on the scroll: Flying Thunder God. Damn! It's the Flying Thunder God technique. Among all the forbidden techniques, the Flying Thunder God technique is considered to be one of the most powerful. It had already shined in the hands of the second generation and showed amazing ability. Later, it was passed on to Minato Namikaze, and with the help of improvements, innovations, and more changes were added, this forbidden technique was taken to a higher level. It is a true SSS-level space-type ninjutsu. Uchiha Qianye got it just like that. Just imagine, Uchiha Qianye, who has already reached the pinnacle of physical skills, has mastered the Flying Thunder God technique. The ultimate close combat ability plus the ultimate speed. Oh my god! It's hard to imagine how powerful it would be. Gulp. The third generation swallowed a mouthful of saliva, looked at Qianye in disbelief, and hurriedly opened another scroll. His face became as ugly as if someone had died. Danzo even opened his mouth slightly, his expression dazed, because the name on the scroll was the instant body technique. Snap Tada. The scroll rolled to the ground and rolled to Qianye's feet little by little. Instant body technique. This is certainly not the simplest instant body technique that even a Chunin or even a Genin can use. It is a real forbidden level instant body technique. Compared with the Flying Thunder God or other forbidden techniques, the reputation of the instant body technique is as mediocre as its name. It seems to be nothing at all. However, this does not mean that this ninjutsu is not powerful. On the contrary, this ninjutsu is too powerful. Since its creation, countless brilliant ninjas have tried to practice it, but there is only one who can succeed. That is Uchiha Shisui. The descendant of Uchiha Kagami, completely loyal to Mu. He is a member of the Uchiha clan of Konoha. Therefore, he was able to gain the trust of Konoha and practice this ninjutsu. In the end, Uchiha Shisui lived up to everyone's expectations and became the only ninja who successfully practiced, relying on this instant body technique. He created such a great reputation, making many ninjas from other villages terrified when they heard the name of the instant body Shisui. Now this instant body technique has fallen into the hands of Uchiha Qianye. The third generation and Danzo had only 2 words in their minds: terrible. However, what is even more difficult for them to understand is how Qianye could have chosen these 2 SSS-level forbidden techniques from the countless ninjutsu so quickly. It is no exaggeration to say that the probability of winning the first prize in buying a lottery is higher than this. Have you seen enough? Qianye raised his lips slightly, snatched the scroll from the hand of the third generation, and picked up the scroll that fell to the ground. There was no doubt that he was in a very good mood. Danzo subconsciously wanted to regret. After all, these 2 forbidden techniques, no matter which one, are Konoha's treasures. How could they be willing to spread it out? The novel was taken from the Rala's website. Close where you're reading it and support us on our website for more free novels. But when he saw Qianye's eyes gradually becoming a little cold, he still held back. He couldn't help but hold back. Now the bigger the fist, the more reasonable it is. Let's not talk about it first. If he regrets now, the fire will directly cause all the previous peace talks to be invalidated, and what consequences will it cause later? Just say that within such a short distance, Qianye can kill him again in an instant with his super strong physical skills. He doesn't have many chances to die. There are still many things that haven't recovered, the second use in a short period of time still has too much impact on him, he doesn't want to die like this. To read the violent novel, go to Faloo Novel Network. The third generation was also very unwilling in his heart, but what could he do? The scroll is already in Qianye's hands, can he still take it back? Is he so powerful? He can only admit it. Looking at the expressions of the third generation and Danzo who looked like dead, Qianye chuckled, and left with a flashing body technique and disappeared. Now that everything has been done, there is no point in staying here. It is time for him to arrange other things. After Qianye left, boom. Danzo slammed his fist on the table, with a snap, the whole table broke into pieces and collapsed. Loss. A big loss. The third generation's face was also very ugly. This is very rare for someone like him who does not show his emotions. After a while, he let out a long breath and said, "Send someone immediately to follow the Uchiha clan." Are you still planning to attack them? Or keep an eye on them? See where they went? Danzo asked. The Sandaime raised his head and gave Danzo a strange look. Action. Keep an eye on them. Do you want all the ninjas you sent out to come back as corpses? With Uchiha Qianye's abnormal perception ability, he would not know what happened. So what do you mean? Danzo was a little confused and puzzled. If what he said was not true, what could be the purpose? Protect. The third generation said these two words heavily, and his expression became ugly again. Protect? Danzo asked back, they are enemies of the Uchiha clan, not friends, so why would they send someone to protect them? Isn't this a seal? I can't understand it. Danzo said. The Uchiha clan was seriously injured and left Konoha, which would inevitably attract countless forces to secretly spy on them, or even attack them. Even if Uchiha Qianye is here, no one can say whether he can always protect the Uchiha clan members. If someone kidnaps the Uchiha clan members and tortures them when Uchiha Qianye is not here, or uses other means, all our efforts will be exposed. The third generation narrowed his eyes, his expression was uncertain. Danzo also understood instantly, the third generation was not protecting the Uchiha clan members, but protecting the secrets they wanted to protect. It's just, thinking about it is a bit aggrieved, their plan, the night of the Uchiha clan extermination. In the end, the Uchiha clan was not exterminated, they paid a large sum of money, and the two SSS-level forbidden techniques of Flying Thunder God and Instant Body Technique were not enough. Now they have to send people to protect their safety. Is there such a way to do things? Frustrating. It's really aggrieved. However, in the current situation, they have to do it no matter how aggrieved they are, otherwise all their previous efforts will be in vain. 440 good. I will arrange it right away. Finally, Danzo nodded and turned away. This kind of thing is a secret among secrets. Ordinary Konoha ninjas, even ninjas from the Umbu, are not convenient to know. Only his root can be trusted unconditionally. This is why he, Danzo, and the root organization can exist. When he walked to the door, Danzo suddenly stopped, turned his head slightly and looked back. His eyes narrowed. All along, he has never underestimated this partner, who grew up with him, practiced together, and was no worse than himself in every way. But today, what the third generation showed still surprised and amazed him, whether it was during the negotiation with Uchiha Qianye or in the aftermath of the Uchiha clan's problems. The judgments made by the third generation were almost always ahead of him. This is completely different from the impression that the third generation gave him in the past. It seems that Uchiha Qianye is not the only one who can hide his shortcomings. His good partner, the third generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, is also a master among them. Qianye returned to the Uchiha clan members who had been waiting for him not far from the entrance of Konoha village. Seeing Qianye return, everyone rushed over to greet him and asked if there was any accident. Qianye is now the backbone of the Uchiha clan. This is not only because Qianye just rescued all of them from Konoha. It is also because they all know clearly that the Uchiha clan is now in a precarious situation, with an uncertain future and a dark world. Only Qianye can lead the Uchiha clan out of the mud, into the light, and restore the glory of the Uchiha clan. Qianye, where do you think we should go now that we have left Konoha? Where can we stay? After a brief greeting, the Uchiha clan members immediately raised a question in front of them. After leaving Konoha, where should we go? The current ninja world is full of suspicion and distrust. Who will accept them? Where can they find a place to live? Chapter 78. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Land of Water, the Hidden Mist Village. Water Country, Kirigakure. Qianye said these 6 words slowly. Long before the night of the Uchiha clan extermination, he had already found a way out for the Uchiha clan, that is Kirigakure, located in the Water Country. Kirigakure is one of the 5 largest ninja villages in the world. Its territory is surrounded by sea water on all sides, far away from the mainland, and almost completely isolated from other countries. Now that the Uchiha clan, who are seriously injured, go there, they can just recuperate and restore their strength. Water Country, Mist Village. Hearing these 6 words, the Uchiha clan members all frowned. A white-haired, hunchbacked old man slowly walked up to Qianye and said, "Qianye, this Kirigakure is not a good place to go. This old man is the great elder of the Uchiha clan and has an extraordinary status." Even the former leader of the Uchiha clan, Fugaku, was polite when he met this old man and did not dare to be negligent in the slightest. Of course, this is not just because of the great elder's status. Although the great elder has a high status, he is not arrogant at all. He is kind-hearted and has no scheming. He is deeply loved by the Uchiha clan. Qianye also has a good impression of this great elder. Although the Hidden Mist Village is isolated from the outside world, stories about it have still spread out, and almost every story is horrifying. The great elder's face was full of dignified expression. In recent years, the 4th Mizukage, Karataji Yagura, has suddenly changed his temperament for some reason, and has begun a cruel rule in the Hidden Mist Village, formulating a series of horrific systems. People from other ninja villages have always called the village of Blood Mist. Even the ninjas of the Hidden Mist Village couldn't stand this system and would rather become rebels and escape. How can we go to such a place? The other members of the Uchiha clan also nodded. Yes, I have heard of the name of Blood Mist Village before. It is indeed very scary. I think we should find another place to go. You really can't go to the Hidden Mist Village. Obviously, these ordinary tribesmen have also heard of the name of the Blood Mist Village. Qianye looked calm. As a time traveler, he certainly knew about these, but he still chose to go to the Hidden Mist Village. Naturally, he had his reasons. According to the development of events in the original Naruto world, the current Hidden Mist Village should be under the control of the Masked Man. The Masked Man used illusion to control the 4th generation Mizukage Yagura, Karataji, and then launched an extremely cruel rule, and there was chaos inside. This situation did not end until the 4th generation Mizukage Yagura was discovered to be controlled by the Masked Man and the 5th generation Mizukage Meitarumi came to power. What Qianye has to do now is to advance the time of the end. He will expose the fact that the 4th generation Mizukage Yagura was controlled by the Masked Man, and then support Meitarumi to come to power and take control of the Hidden Mist Village. The Uchiha clan will naturally have a place to survive. It's just that these are too shocking, and it's not convenient to explain to too many people, so he just said lightly, "Great Elder, I know everything you said, but I still choose to go to the Hidden Mist Village." Besides that, there was nothing more to say. The Great Elder was startled. First with doubt on his face, then with thought. He was able to become the great elder of the Uchiha clan. Although he was old and his physical strength was not as good as before, and even his legs and feet were not very flexible, but he still had brains. He could see that the young man who had rescued them from Konoha was not a simple person. Since he did this, there must be a reason for doing so. But it was still a little confusing. The other Uchiha clan members also had different expressions. The smarter ones had realized that Qianye might have other plans. Some had completely become Qianye's believers, and they believed in every choice and judgment of Qianye. Of course, these were mainly the younger generation. They were full of passion, and after experiencing what happened tonight, there were also some who, although unwilling in their hearts and wanted to object, did not speak out. On the one hand, this was because of the prestige that Qianye had invisibly established on the night of the Uchiha extermination. What he said could already influence the judgment of many people. On the other hand, it was pure strategy. On the night of the Uchiha extermination, Qianye was not purely focused on saving people, but on saving people selectively. The people he saved were almost all useful people who could be used by him. as for those who were useless, or even might cause trouble at a critical moment, he simply ignored them. Therefore, when Qianye's words strongly conflicted with the cognition of the Uchiha people, no one stood up to really strongly oppose it. This was not accidental, but inevitable. After all, these were all people selected by Qianye, okay? After a long pause, the elder made his own decision. Even though it conflicted with his own understanding, he still agreed with Renye's decision. The elder's face was full of wrinkles and had a kind and gratified smile. Qianye, you are the pillar of our Uchiha clan. I believe in your decision and believe that you can lead our Uchiha clan through the difficulties. Even the great elder of the Uchiha clan, who has a high status and position, agreed with Qianye's decision. The other Uchiha clan members had even less to say. Seeing that no one objected, Qianye nodded. He said in a resounding voice, "Don't worry, great elder, don't worry, everyone. I promise that the Uchiha clan will repeat the glory of the past." Hearing Qianye's words, everyone's eyes were filled with hope. That was the expectation for a better future. After making the decision, Qianye sent someone to complete the handover with Konoha. The money agreed upon before must be taken away. To read the novel, go to Faloo Novel Network. Otherwise, what if you regret it later? All debts must not be owed on credit, and must be settled in cash. Finally, after a few hours, all this was done, and Qianye took people and money to his destination, the hidden mist village in the land of water. As for the discussion and heated discussion caused by the Uchiha clans leaving Konoha village in such a high-profile manner, that was not his concern, and he had no interest in caring about it at all. Anyway, he was relieved that the third generation in Danzo would take care of the aftermath. Go forward all the way. Not long after leaving Konoha village, 3 people appeared right in front of the Uchiha group. The one in the middle was wearing a black robe with a samurai sword on his waist. He wore an orange-red with black stripes on his face. The mask only revealed one eye. The man on the left was a teenager of about 13 years old. He had a handsome face and delicate features. His long black hair was tied up casually. There were 2 obvious tear grooves on his fair face. The man on the right had long straight black hair, a frighteningly pale face, and a pair of snake pupils. They were the masked man, Uchiha Itachi, and Orochimaru. Under the dazzling morning sun, the 3 figures were elongated. As soon as they appeared, they brought a strong sense of oppression. Everyone knew how terrible these 3 were. However, the Uchiha clansmen were not afraid at all, because Qianye was here. No matter who came, they would not be afraid at all. Qianye walked forward alone and faced the 3 Kage-level powerhouses at the same time. On the one hand, it was because of his own strength. On the other hand, it was because he realized that the masked man did not seem to have any ill intentions. If he wanted to take action, wouldn't it be a better choice to join forces with the 3rd generation in Danzo last night? Why did he come now? Finally, he also wanted to see what the masked man wanted to do. Still want to fight? Qianye looked at the masked man calmly and said indifferently, "Hee." The masked man laughed, his voice low and with a hint of majesty. Young people should not be so extreme in doing things. Many things cannot be solved by fighting and making trouble. I only care about interests. Young people. Is the masked man really addicted to pretending to be an idiot? Others don't know who the masked man is, but he knows it clearly. In terms of age, he is probably not much older than him. However, interests. The masked man really came for something. Qianye was calculating in his mind, but he remained calm on the surface. The masked man continued, "Qianye, after what happened last night, I admire your strength. But you have to remember that in this world, no matter what happens, it is not static, but it is changing. Today's enemy may become tomorrow's friend, and vice versa. Even if you don't want to join my organization, we are not necessarily enemies. Before, we worked for Konoha, just for money and to help them get rid of troubles. After today, we have nothing to do with Konoha anymore. We are not the enemy." At this point, the masked man paused for a moment and looked straight at Qianye. He hoped that these words would eliminate Qianye's hostility towards them. Zhao Ma's. After all, he had seen Qianye's strength. He might be able to be used in the future. Then he changed the subject, lowered his voice, and whispered, "Konoha is trying to exterminate the entire Uchiha clan. I believe you have seen the corruption and depravity of Konoha. If one day, you take revenge and attack Konoha, maybe I will choose to help you. Although the voice was not loud, it was not deliberately avoided. In addition to Qianye, Orochimaru and Uchiha Itachi also heard this sentence clearly. After speaking, he turned around and returned to Orochimaru and Uchiha Itachi. At the same time, a transparent vortex suddenly appeared in the void, and the bodies of the masked man, Uchiha Itachi, and Orochimaru became virtual little by little until they disappeared completely. To win over. Qianye looked a little strange. It was not because he was surprised that the masked man would win him over. He was not surprised about this. After all, what the masked man will do in the future is to be an enemy of the entire ninja world. Of course, he will need a strong helper, and his relationship with Konoha is so bad, it is understandable that the masked man took the opportunity to win over. What really made him strange was what he was going to do. The current Kirigakure village can be said to be under the control of the masked man. Not long after, when the masked man knows that the person he won over destroyed the Kirigakure village under his control, I don't know what his expression will be. Chapter 79. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qianye's plan. After the masked man and his group left, Qianye continued to lead the Uchiha clan towards their destination, the hidden mist village. The distance from Konoha to the land of water is not too far. Of course, this is also relatively speaking, the land of water is almost independent of the other four major countries. It is separated by a large sea area and is naturally isolated from the world. No matter which country is sent to the land of water, it will not be too close. Compared with the inland land of wind or the land of earth, Konoha is close to the sea. As long as you cross the sea, you can directly reach the territory of the land of water. It is one of the countries closest to the land of water. However, Qianye chose another way, from the land of fire to the south, through the land of whirlpools, and then take a boat to the land of water. Obviously, this road is longer. However, you can stay on land for a long time without drifting on the sea. Most ninjas or merchants going to the land of water will almost choose this road. In this way, Qianye led the Uchiha clansmen all the way. At this time, the village of Konoha had already been in turmoil. In just one night, the entire settlement of the Uchiha family became a ruin. The Uchiha clan members also left Konoha the next day. This incident immediately set off an uproar in the village. Although the relationship between Konoha and the Uchiha family has never been good, and there have been frictions for many years, but as one of the most powerful families in Konoha, the Uchiha family has such a big thing happened. How could it be possible that they don't care at all? Soon it became a hot topic. There were all kinds of strange statements, and the more they spread, the more outrageous they were. Fortunately, it didn't take long for the third generation of Hokage to personally stand up to refute the rumors and explain the incident. It was the genius ninja of the Uchiha, Uchiha Itachi, who caused the Uchiha clan to become the current situation. It was Uchiha Itachi who was confused by others and chose to attack his own clan members in a desperate manner, attempting to kill all of his clan members. Fortunately, Uchiha Qianye appeared and stopped Uchiha Itachi, which saved many Uchiha clan members, and he produced a witness, that is, Uchiha Itachi's younger brother, Uchiha Sasuke. It was the testimony from his younger brother, and Sasuke was still young. Many times, the words of children were more believable. With the appearance of the third generation and the testimony of Sasuke, it was explained clearly why the Uchiha clan suddenly became like this. But it was not enough. Why did the Uchiha clan choose to leave Konoha? Could it be that the Konoha high-level officials forced the Uchiha clan to leave? After all, the relationship between the two sides was very sensitive before, and it was really hard not to think too much when such a thing happened. Especially some big clans, they were very concerned about the truth of the matter. After all, the Konoha high-level officials treated the Uchiha like this, and they might use the same means to deal with them one day. It really had to be prevented. In this regard, the third generation did not give too much explanation, and he could not explain it. It was just that this was the final decision of the Uchiha and Konoha high-level officials. It was the Uchiha clan who wanted to leave, not the coercion of Konoha. On the contrary, Konoha once sincerely tried to retain the Uchiha clan, but in the end it failed to keep the Uchiha clan. The evidence is that when the Uchiha clan left, Konoha gave a large sum of money so that the Uchiha clan could settle down even if they went to other places. The two sides broke up peacefully and there was no conflict. Even the attitude towards the hidden cloud village had changed. Previously, the Hidden Cloud village had a tough attitude and demanded that Konoha must hand over Uchiha Qianye, who killed the Hidden Cloud village envoy. Originally, Konoha wanted to avoid war and had to choose to compromise, but now, Uchiha Qianye, as a hero of the Uchiha clan, saved the Uchiha clan and led the Uchiha clan to leave Konoha. The affairs of the Uchiha clan are no longer under the jurisdiction of Konoha. The Hidden Cloud village should find the Uchiha clan, the Hidden Cloud village did not object to this anyway. What they want is the bloodline limit Sharingan of the Uchiha clan. Now that the Uchiha clan has left Konoha, they will go directly to the Uchiha clan for revenge, which is fine. However, the third generation said, no. At least the Uchiha clan is still within the scope of the Land of Fire, and he cannot tolerate anyone attacking the Uchiha clan. Attacking the Uchiha clan is equivalent to declaring war on Konoha. After all, the ancestor of the Uchiha clan is one of the founders of Konoha. Although they have left Konoha now, it is not possible to attack the Uchiha clan within the scope of the Land of Fire. The primary reason why the third generation did this was of course that he was afraid that the Uchiha clan had just experienced a huge change and was still unstable, with constant internal injuries. Although Qianye was there, it would be useless no matter how many people went to the Hidden Cloud village. However, it should be considered that if the Hidden Cloud village attacked, it would definitely not be in the open, but a sneak attack. They could not beat Uchiha Qianye, but it was not completely impossible to kidnap one or two Uchiha clansmen by surprise, and their secrets would be exposed, so they had to wait and waste time, give the Uchiha clan a chance to recover. As long as the Uchiha clan fully recovers, I believe that even if the Hidden Cloud village takes action, it will only be in trouble. After all, the Uchiha clan has the Sharingan. Their insight, observation, and fighting power are stronger than other ninjas. This is not an easy bone to chew. In response, the Hidden Cloud village once reacted strongly and threatened with war, but in the end, they compromised. In today's world, there are 5 major countries coexisting. It is unrealistic for any party to want to destroy the other party. The biggest possibility is that both sides will suffer losses. To read the violent novels, go to Faloo Novel Network. The final result is just to benefit other ninja villages. Anyway, it's not that they can't take action. As long as they are outside the scope of the Land of Fire, they still have a chance. On the sea, their Hidden Cloud village's lightning ninjutsu is just about to shine. A series of things finally proved the words of the third generation. The Uchiha left voluntarily, which had nothing to do with the Konoha high-level officials. They just obeyed the wishes of the Uchiha clan. These undoubtedly added a lot of credibility to the third generation's words, but it is still not enough, because there are too many loopholes and it can't stand up to scrutiny. For example, the Uchiha clan has experienced such a huge change and has been severely damaged. Why choose to leave? Isn't it a better choice to stay? In addition, even if they want to leave, they are leaving too hastily. There are many doubts, which arouse suspicion. However, slowly, under the control of the third generation Danzo, and with the passage of time, people gradually forgot about this matter. Konoha village soon returned to its previous peaceful life. Of course, not everyone. Under the dark night sky, a little girl as delicate as a porcelain doll was lying in a rocking chair and looking at the night sky. The girl was young and looked well behaved. One thing worth noting is that her eyes are pure white. She looked at the night sky and murmured, "Brother Qianye, where are you now and are you doing well?" In a barbecue restaurant, another member of the team of Kurenai Yuhi and Yuzuki Yugao finally recovered from his injury and returned to the team. To celebrate, they planned to have a big meal and get together. Also coming with them were Asuma, Might Guy, and Hey-8. They are all at the same level, and because Asuma and Hey-8 admire and pursue Kurenai Yuhi and Yuzuki Yugao, their two teams are also quite familiar with each other. They came together for this dinner. Logically speaking, the return of team members should be a happy event, but for some reason, the atmosphere on the field was a bit dull. Even Might Guy, who has always been a bit thick-skinned, didn't say a word. Originally, there should have been another person at the dinner. During the time when his teammates were injured, that person helped them complete the mission more than once and saved their lives during the mission. He also gave them some glory that didn't belong to them at all. And what did they do for that person? When they were really needed, all they could do was say a few words, and they couldn't change anything at all. They should be very grateful, but now that person is gone. 1,000 nights. 1,000 nights. He will be fine. After a long silence, Asuma finally spoke the first sentence. perhaps leaving Konoha is the best choice for Qianye and the Uchiha clan. Because of Yuhi Kurenai, he originally disliked Uchiha Qianye, but now, he has experienced so many things in just a few days, although he still doesn't like Qianye in his heart, he can't help but admire him, yes. Hey-8 let out a long breath, everyone knows the relationship between us Konoha and Uchiha. As Asma said, maybe leaving is a good choice. I believe that with Qianye's ability, he will live well even if he leaves Konoha. It's just a pity, Mike said gloomily. We agreed to have a youth showdown, but now, as he spoke, his voice gradually weakened and he sighed heavily. He felt very sorry for the departure of such a true rival, but not long after, he rekindled his fighting spirit. With Qianye's talent, he will definitely grow rapidly at a terrifying speed. I absolutely cannot fall behind. From today on, I will increase my training. When I meet Qianye again, I will definitely compete with him. After that, he ate the barbecue and food in big mouthfuls and left directly, taking advantage of the time not being too late to exercise. After a while, Asuma, Hey-8 and another ninja also left. Only, Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao were left in the barbecue restaurant. They had been with Qianye the longest, experienced the most, and were reluctant to let him go. I don't know why. After knowing that the Uchiha clan had all left, they always felt empty in their hearts, as if they had lost something very important. I don't know how long it will take for them to meet again. Chapter 80. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Don't worry, madam. Sasuke will be fine. In Konoha village, the Uchiha clan was in an uproar. Under Qianye's leadership, the Uchiha clan had already arrived at the border of the land of fire, close to the land of whirlpools. It was noon, the sun was glaring and scorching, and it was not suitable to move forward. Qianye decided to stop temporarily and rest on the spot. He used the wood release ninjutsu to build a large building. It was big enough for everyone to live in and rest. Qianye randomly chose one of the rooms, and just as he entered, the great elder walked in. Qianye, do you feel something is not right? The elder frowned slightly, walked to Qianye's side and said slowly, we are still within the scope of the land of fire, but we are already far away from Konoha. Judging from the time, the news that our Uchiha clan has left Konoha must have spread, but we have been too quiet along the way. As the great elder of the Uchiha clan, he has very good insights. What he worries about is not groundless. As the saying goes, a man is innocent but guilty of possessing a treasure. The Uchiha clan that left Konoha is destined to be regarded as a hot commodity. Many people want to get a piece of the pie. The main reason for this is the bloodline limit unique to the Uchiha clan, the Sharingan. In the Third Ninja World War, the name Sharingan Kakashi shined and spread among the countries in the ninja world. On the one hand, it is because Kakashi's strength is indeed very high. On the other hand, it is because of the Sharingan. Hatake Kakashi is not a descendant of the Uchiha clan, but he obtained the Sharingan through transplantation and used this very powerful bloodline limit for himself. This gave rise to some thoughts in the hearts of many people. Method. Since Kakashi can obtain the Sharingan through transplantation, does it mean that they can also obtain the Sharingan in the same way? Before, no matter what the relationship between Uchiha and Konoha was, it was in Konoha village after all. No matter how much other ninja villages coveted the Sharingan, they would not run to Konoha village to snatch it, but now it is different. The Uchiha clan has completely left Konoha. Logically speaking, there should be many people who would choose to take the opportunity to snatch the Sharingan. How come they didn't see even a single enemy after walking all the way? This is what the great elder is puzzled about. This is not groundless worry, but a reasonable inference based on facts. All of this is really too abnormal. Qianye first asked the great elder to sit down and continue to listen to the great elder. In addition, several brothers in our clan have also noticed the traces of Konoha ninjas. It seems that since we left Konoha village, they have been following us closely, but they have always been very careful and kept a long distance from us. They were only discovered recently. I wonder what this Konoha is up to behind the scenes. The elder frowned. Qianye poured a cup of tea for the elder and said lightly, it doesn't matter, since they want to follow, let them follow. As for why no one took the opportunity to attack, no matter what the reason is, it is a good thing for us at the moment, so we don't need to pay more attention to it for now. The people of Konoha followed closely behind them. Even the slightly smarter members of the Uchiha clan discovered this, not to mention Qianye, who possessed the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. In fact, long before the Great Elder said this, Qianye had already found the root organization ninjas hiding in the dark, and he had obtained intelligence and knew their purpose, not tracking, but protection. Based on this, and thinking about why no enemy has been encountered for so long, it makes sense. This is probably the influence of Konoha village. It seems that the third generation and Danzo are really afraid that the secret of the Uchiha clan extermination night will spread. Qianye certainly would not mistake this for the kindness of the third generation and Danzo. After experiencing what happened before, he knew clearly what kind of person the third generation Danzo was. Everything they did, every step they took was for their own sake. After hearing Qianye's words, the Great Elder did not say anything more. In fact, he just came to inform the matter. Qianye is the only one. He will not ask about what to do or what measures to use. The reason is very simple. The Uchiha clan is now completely led by Qianye. He also unconditionally believes that Qianye can handle anything correctly. Since Qianye said it was okay, why should he worry about it? Having lived for so long, he knows more than many people and knows what to do and what not to do. After talking about business and drinking tea, the elder left. Qianye stayed in the room to practice ninjutsu. Although the biggest crisis in his heart has passed after the night of the Uchiha clan extermination, but he still did not relax his practice and improve his strength. No matter where you are, strength is the greatest guarantee. Qianye #1 deeply agrees with this. However, not long after he started practicing, he was interrupted again. Dong dong dong. There was a knock on the door. Qianye frowned slightly. His practice was interrupted, which made him feel a little unhappy, but he still said calmly, "Come in." Squeak! The door opened. A middle-aged young woman in her 30s walked in. Her skin was fair and delicate, and because of proper maintenance, there was no trace of time. She looked very young, and had a charming figure that ordinary girls did not have. There is no doubt that this is a woman full of temptation. Uchiha Mikoto, the wife of Uchiha Fugaku, the former patriarch of the Uchiha clan. However, Qianye is not a lustful person. Facing such a beauty in the world, he can still maintain his inner peace. He said lightly, "Is there something wrong?" "No, nothing serious." Misaki said a little stiffly. She was gentle and shy by nature, and rarely interacted with people. Now she was a little nervous in front of Qianye. To read the exciting novel, go to Faloo Novel Network. But thinking of what she had to do, she still mustered up her courage and forced a smile. "Qianye, I came to thank you for not attacking Itachi before and sparing his life." Uchiha Mikoto said softly, "Oh, if that's the case, don't thank me. I saved his life just for the sake of negotiation." Qianye told the truth without hiding anything. He saved Itachi's life not because of Uchiha Mikoto's words, he did it because of his own considerations and plans. Oh. Uchiha Mikoto responded in a panic. She originally thought that Qianye would agree with a smile, and then she could take the opportunity to tell her about that matter. But now, Qianye's answer was completely beyond her expectations. This made her not know what to say for a while, but she couldn't leave until she finished talking about that matter. Along the way, she finally encountered such an opportunity. How could she miss it? So she stood there in a daze for a while. Is there anything else? Seeing that Uchiha Mikoto still hadn't left, Renyi asked again. Just say it. Qianye said decisively. He had long seen that Uchiha Mikoto had other things on her mind. Uchiha Mikoto then let out a long breath and said with determination, "Qianye, my youngest son Uchiha Sasuke was lost in the night of the Uchiha clan genocide. I don't know where he went. That it turned out to be because of Sasuke." Qianye understood. Originally, in the course of the events of Naruto, Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Mikoto should have been killed together, but now, because of his appearance, many things have changed. Fugaku committed suicide. Mikoto was saved by him. Therefore, Mikoto had no idea what Itachi said to Fugaku and the series of plans, so she came to ask him. Sasuke is not dead, he stayed in Konoha. Qianye roughly told everything he knew, from Uchiha Itachi to the night of the genocide. Uchiha Mikoto's brows relaxed and then frowned. He didn't expect that Itachi had so many things on his shoulders, and her husband's final decision, and then there was Sasuke. After learning all this, Mikoto's tears could no longer stop falling, and she looked so pitiful. Qianye All of our Uchiha clan members have left Konoha, leaving Sasuke alone, helpless and helpless. As she spoke, she started crying again. After all, she was a mother, and she would always think about her children. Itachi was already grown up and could take care of himself, and with Itachi's ability, nothing would happen. The only thing that worried him was Sasuke. He was just a child. Don't worry, Sasuke will live well in Konoha. He will make good friends and take good care of himself. Qianye said. This was not just a consolation, but the real fact. Uchiha Mikoto failed to understand this. She raised her head, opened her big, Kazalan eyes with a few crystal tears, and said to Qianye, Sasuke is also a member of our Uchiha clan. Can you go to Konoha and rescue him? Her eyes were full of hope. She knew that only Qianye could save Sasuke now. However, Qianye's answer disappointed her. Qianye shook his head and said, no. Now our entire Uchiha clan is in a precarious situation. We must rush to the hidden mist village as soon as possible and find our place to stay. This is the most important thing. I can't let the whole family's affairs be delayed for the sake of Uchiha Sasuke. But, Uchiha Mikoto frowned and wanted to explain what she was writing, but was interrupted by Qianye. No need to say more, I won't change my mind. Remember that the overall situation is important. Mikoto was anxious. After all, he was her son. How could he stay in Konoha? If something really happened, it would be unthinkable.